10:25 this morning. The last of the old 405 line transmitters, which use those aerials, are being closed down. They've been replaced by the 625 system for all except a tiny number of people in isolated areas who could only receive a signal from the old transmitters. Michael Voss went to see how one Welsh family is going to cope without television.
The Williams family have never owned a colour television. When they switch on in the morning, they have no idea that Anne Diamond has hazel eyes or Nick is wearing his yellow sweater again. It's not that farmer John Williams is too mean to buy a colour set. It's just that he lives in an isolated valley some 10 miles north of Brecon, where the only signal he can pick up is from the old 405 line transmitter. The 405 line service started in 1955. It was the first real breakthrough in modern television technology, a unified system beaming programs into homes all over the country. Eventually it gave way to colour and today's modern 625 system. Yet surprisingly, most of the old 405 transmitters were kept on, though now they're running out of spare parts. And on January the 3rd, they'll all close down for good. It may be just a black and white service, but the 405 transmitters do have one advantage. They reach the valleys other signals don't reach. And for families like the Williamses, the end of 405 means no more television at all.
I don't think I can bear it, really.
You've really got to have your dose of television every evening.
Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah, I can't do without my telly.
What was it like growing up as a kid? Were you always complaining to your dad about why he wasn't getting a colour set?
Always, yes. Main subject.
John Williams is used to living a little behind the times. It's a lonely life raising cattle and sheep on this 200-acre farm. But now, in 1985, if he ever wants to watch the telly again, he'll have to build his own receiver on the nearest hilltop and run a cable from there to his house. And since this would cost him well over £1,000, he's decided the family will just have to do without. What are you going to do with yourselves in the evenings without television?
Well, I don't really know.
Learn to play cards?
Probably, or read a lot.
You'll actually have to talk to your wife now.
Ah, that's what worries me, you know. I'm getting a bit worried about that, because I've lost touch over the years.
There is just one consolation for losing the greatest form of entertainment in the 20th century. The Home Office say they will refund the unused portion of his TV licence fee.
The unions desperately want an end to the dispute, but even if they find someone... It's a bit sad, isn't it, as we faded to black for them.
Authority was switched off just before 9:30 this morning, but the equipment will be put to good use as it's being offered to the medical profession for use in the study and treatment of cancer. We have a report from Steve Evans, who visited a family in Mid-Wales who still relied on the old service. But first, Nick Partridge with the close down at St Hilary in the Vale of Glamorgan.
This is the test card that greeted the first ever viewers of ITV in Wales way back in 1958. A potential audience of about 3.25 million people in Wales and the west of England could receive a signal from St Hilary at its peak. The Mayor of Cowbridge, Councillor John Roberts, was there today to throw the switch on Channel 10 for the last time. Area engineer Eddie Howarth told me how many people he thought would be affected by today's close down.
Well, although the authority itself has not received any direct indication of the numbers, we understand there is in the region of around 27 families at the very most who may be affected, and these are mostly in the Mid-Wales region.
One of those families are the Lewises, who live in their remote farmhouse in the hills outside Merthyr Cynnog, 10 miles to the north of Brecon. While the rest of us have watched crisp colour pictures on our 625 line sets, Wyn and Dilys Lewis and their two young children, Bethan and Dilwyn, have had to put up with a poor black and white reception on their old 405 set. The problem is they won't be able to get a picture without doing a lot of work to get it from any nearby high ground where it could be picked up. Work which Mr. Lewis reckons would cost him £2,000.
We're roughly laying a mile of underground cable to pick up a picture. That's roughly what we have to do.
So you're talking about £2,000 just to get the television there?
Just to get an aerial, really, just to pick up the signal.
What sort of picture are you used to, and what sort of services can you pick up?
Well, half a picture and one channel, 405. ITV is like looking, well, across the valley, if you like. It's just like looking into a foggy haze, isn't it, you know?
What can anyone who finds they have lost a service do about it?
Well, we would hope that those people who are so affected would contact the IBA's regional office in Cardiff. The telephone number for that office is in the telephone directory.
What are you going to do then with the long evenings without television from the end of this week?
That we haven't thought of yet.